maybe this week, maybe next week. I'll give you another. I gave out sheets last week, didn't I? I'll give you another sheet with another at least 100 or so on there, maybe 120, and then I'll give you the last sheet next week. I was going to do a couple different things this week. First off, I was going to go through some of them on the first page from last week, just kind of read over them. And then I thought on the sheet you don't have, I'll give you the saying, and you give me the story or the book that it's in. See if you can recognize it. And but anyway, let's look at the first page there, if you have that still. Job, let's look at Job 19:20. We'll start there. I don't know where we left off. Somewhere short of that. I think 18 was the number. The good die young in Ecclesiastes 7:15. In Job 19, verse 20, and I'll get over there in a minute. And I don't think this one needs any... Wow, I'm terrible getting there. It says, my bone cleaveth to my skin, to my flesh. I am escaped with the skin of my teeth. Do you think that's a hyperbole? Now, you do have some skin right around your teeth, but you don't have any skin on your teeth. But I think it's a little bit of exaggeration, wouldn't you say? The God of the Bible, everybody thinks he should be like Hal on 2001, where you got this computer has no character, no nothing. But God's full of character. He's got all kinds of character, and God can be. He can exaggerate, make exaggerating statements. He can be critical. What's the word I'm looking for? Sarcastic. He can be sarcastic. When he says, go up to Bethel and transgress, that's being sarcastic. Obviously, he doesn't want you to go up and sin, but he's saying, you're so bent on it, just go up to Bethel and transgress. That's being sarcastic. And you need to realize your God is going to engage with you, and I don't know, maybe you think it'll be like, talking to Siri or something, but it won't be. And he might use a little hyperbole on you. He might use a little sarcasm on you. He can definitely be that way when he wants to be. And that's the reason why, I think about all these sayings. I mean, there's thousands of them. I know there are thousands. I thought up a few. We'll look at them here in a minute. But, and they could be in this list. There's no way I'm going through all this list to see, okay, that one's not there. I'd have went blind trying to do it. But there's just so many of them that our entire language is kind of centered around this. Now, you pick up sayings along the way, sometimes from historical events, sometimes from individuals that lived, So, not every saying is going to come from the Bible, but our basic conversation, up until really we became attached to the entire world through the internet, was based around what's in this book. This is how we spoke. And I think it's just interesting that, people discard the Bible and they don't realize it, but they're speaking it every single day of their life. They quote it, they try to, and I'll tell you what, products do this a lot. Songs will capture something, just a phrase, like, the no fear. You'll find that. Now, there's a verse, but I'm just saying these little sayings, just get it done, or just do it. I found that one. Was that Nike? They capitalize off of the Bible. They're using these sayings. Why? They have the power of God behind them. They thought, good slogan, might come back on them. But he says they're escaped by he's escaped by the skin of my teeth. Well, that's what we say. I escaped by the skin of my teeth. Look at Ecclesiastes 10:19. I know you got the verses in front of you, but we'll at least, or you've got the reference in front of you. Let's look at the verse. Because that deriving from it is half the fun of seeing how they came up with it. He says there in Ecclesiastes 10:19, a feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things. Money talks. Money answereth all things. There's another one there in the next verse. Curse not the king, no, not in thy thought. Curse not the rich in thy bedchamber, for a bird of the air shall carry the voice, and that which hath wings shall tell the matter. Little bird told me. Song of Solomon 8:7. It says, many waters cannot quench love, neither can the floods drown it. If a man would give all the substance of his house for love, it would utterly be contemned. You can't buy love. Oh. Here, let's do this one. Let's do Hosea 7, verse 8. Okay? I mean, that's one I grew up with, half-baked. Somebody's half-baked. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Half-baked. Oh. We watched a video on Appalachian sayings. It was a mom that was testing her two children, and she was Appalachian. I mean, she's from Appalachia, and testing her on these terms. And some of it they got, a lot of it they didn't. We got some of it. We could recognize some of the terms, and a lot of it we didn't get. But we could also see some biblical. There's a lot of things. Okay, the word victuals. Okay. The victuals comes from the word victuals, which is food. And they've just taken it and kind of, hillbillied it, made it roll off the tongue, And people say, well, victuals, that's our cake, that's our cake. And I worked at a cafeteria for like 6 years, and I'd always go past this. He had all these signs on the wall, it's kind of like, how they decorate something with old stuff. And one of the signs says, don't be critical of the victuals. Okay? Not as out of date as you might think. But if you said, don't be critical of the victuals, everybody would have known, right? Matthew 5:41, we don't even need to turn there. It's going the second mile. Okay? Look at 107, Psalm 107. Verse 27, I believe it is. It says, they reel to and fro and stagger like a drunken man and are at their wits' end. I'm at my wits' end. The number 39 there, between a rock and a hard place, is that... That's Jonathan and his armor bearer. Yeah. I think there's another place I was thinking of. I am in a strait betwixt two. That's between a rock and a hard place. Having a desire to depart and be with Christ, which is far better. But I believe in Jonathan's situation. See, there's multiple verses that can be used that come up with these sayings. And I'll give you this one. I'll read it. Let's see, 1 Samuel 14:4. And between the passages by which Jonathan sought to go over unto the Philistines' garrison, there was a sharp rock on one side and a sharp rock on the other side. Between a rock and a hard place. Okay. Huh? Yeah, there you go. Threw him against the wall. Genesis 4, verse 2 to 5. Can't get blood out of a turnip. Who would that be? Yep, Cain. Couple passages that talks about the Lord taking you under his wing. We got Psalm 36:7, Matthew 23:37. Look at this. I like this one, Exodus 5, verse 7 and 8. And this one's it's not obvious, but then when you hear the term, you go, oh, yeah. Exodus 5, verse 7 and 8. Ye shall no more give the people straw to make brick as heretofore. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. And the tail of the bricks which they did make heretofore ye shall lay upon them. Ye shall not diminish aught thereof, for they be idle. Wherefore they cry, saying, let us go and sacrifice to our God. So we call them straw boss. The straw boss, they actually had a straw boss, that they, the one that helped them where they're making the bricks, that gives them the straw to put into the brick to give it, gives it fiber, and it'd be like putting, rebar in concrete. So it helps it all stay together when they cook the bricks and everything. And without that fibrous stuff in there, didn't make strong building material. So when those straw bosses said, no straw for you, man, I'll tell you what, they were in trouble, because it had to meet a certain spec and a certain strength. So they got down to where they were gathering up I want to say bramble, but it wasn't bramble. Yeah, well, they were going around gathering straw wherever they could get it. But I think it gives a progression of what they had to gather, but I can't think of the words. I'm sorry? Stubble. There you go. Yep, stubble instead of straw. So that made it even worse. But to this day, we call somebody that's in control of everything a straw boss. Probably because they're heavy-handed. You call them a straw boss. Is that what it says? Junior supervisor, straw boss. Well, it was those under Pharaoh that were given the order. 1 Samuel 16:16. You've got David. I already know what the passage is. You've got David playing to soothe who? Saul, an evil spirit. Is that right? Music to soothe the savage beast. When an evil spirit came on him. We already talked about a little bird told me. Job 19:15, the stranger in his own house. He said, I think the passage goes, I'm an alien to my children. Is that the verse? Job 19, verse 15. They that dwell in my house and my maids count me for a stranger. I am an alien in their sight. We got a lot of aliens too, don't we? Just a stone's throw away. Anybody think of the passage? Just a stone's throw away. Luke 22. Huh? David? Let's see what Luke 22:41. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast. A stone's throw away. Job 4:15, my hair stood on end. See, go jump in the lake. Huh? Revelation 20. Go jump in the lake of fire. Out of the frying pan into the fire. Revelation 20. All right. Where do we get Captain Marvel from? Can you tell me who it was about? Okay, you've got the centurion who commands people. He's a captain. And he marveled at his faith, Captain Marvel. Yeah. He brought the house down? Okay. The walls have ears? Now, I've got that down. It's Habakkuk 2:11. Now, I looked at a few of these, and I couldn't, of just a few of them that I couldn't figure out. I don't know if it's a bad reference. I don't know about that. No, it's Nahum. No wonder that don't make no sense. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. That's interesting. Let's see. The walls of ears. If these walls could talk. Yeah, there you go. Yep, that's a better one. There's probably another one where they have ears. The walls. Let's see. Now see if you can get this one. This is one I probably just made it up. But anyway. Proverbs 22:3. And the exact same quote is again in Proverbs 27:12, but 22:3. This is one of the passages that most Christians don't have enough sense to know. It says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. You know that Jesus Christ did that? When he perceived the evil. Now, he did walk through the midst of them, but in plain sight, but he was hiding in plain sight. There's another one. But a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. My favorite, too stupid to live? I think it's close. Stupid is what stupid does? No. It's close. I'll give you one. 1 Samuel 17:49. First Samuel 17:49. Huh? How about rocks for brains? Didn't he sink the stone into his forehead? Stone, huh? Smack dab in the forehead? Rocks for brains? What did you say, Joe? Stonehead? Yep. He rocked his world. There's probably a dozen for each one of these we come up with. How about they put him out to pasture? Nebuchadnezzar. How about it? It's so dark I can feel it. Exodus 10:21. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand toward heaven, and there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. Let's see, how about burning the midnight oil? Give me the chapter. Matthew 25. It says at midnight, and then they went out with their lamps, so burning the midnight oil. Okay, I'll give you one. Judges 5:20. Judges 5:20. Huh? That's a good one though, but that's not the passage. No. Huh? Was it the stars in their courses fought against Sisera? Star Wars. What'd you say? Stars aligned? Star Wars. Let's see. How about this one? Wouldn't lift a finger to help. Who's he talking about? Wouldn't lift a finger. Mary. That would you could say that one could go with it. Please talk about Mary, the mother of Jesus. I couldn't figure. Didn't he say that about the Pharisees? They would not lift so much as their little finger. Yeah. Now this one I thought, and I use this quite a bit, and I may have to reel it in, but it's a hard one for me for crying out loud. Look at Matthew 27:46. This could be on the verge of a little bit of blasphemy. Huh? Okay. Matthew 27:46. At about the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, for crying out loud. See, a lot of times we're swearing when we say, for goodness sake. And he said, there's none good but God. Give me another one. I mean, egad? What is that? What? And it's not just in, one of the things that really, when I saw this, I mean, it horrified me when I figured that out. And that was that animal guy. Yeah. Well, he would always say that, crikey, crikey. And I thought, what in the world does that mean? It's Australian short for what? And they combine every word they talk over there. Everything's, and it means Christ Almighty. And here he is on this show, crikey, and I'm like, he is swearing every time he does it. So a fish kills him, puts it right through his heart. The Bible says, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for he shall not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. There's a sin to confess. Okay? So here's this guy, he's saying this thing, crikey, crikey, and he ends up getting killed by this, what was it, stingray. Puts it right through his heart. Of course, he pulls it out. That's what killed him. He pulled it out. If he'd left the barb in. So what does the family do? They want to start another show. I think he called Quickie.
They say it means something else. In an interview where I asked him what it meant, I don't remember what he said. He didn't say what.
I looked it up in the dictionary. Sacre bleu has to do with the holy blood. And I mean, I grew up with the cartoon saying "Sacre bleu." I walk around, and here you're swearing by the blood. Bloody this, bloody that. That's the reason why that's considered profanity in England. Just like we've got our dang, darn. I mean, let's face it, it's Christian cussing, Yeah, plus it's French, and they're just an abomination anyway, aren't they? But a lot of this stuff, you just, until you start really looking into it, you don't know what you're saying. Which brings up something really embarrassing for me. Somebody taught me some Italian words. And one day and we got an Italian boss. And one day, I mean, I knew what a couple of them meant, but I didn't know what all, but he would just ramble this line. We know what we're talking about here. Now, this is before Virgil's conversion. But he would just run this line. He'd call you a fagioli, which is string bean. But he just ran this gauntlet of stuff. Well, I heard it so often, I memorized it. And one day, man, it just rambled right out of my mouth, and I thought I was saying something like, you're a big string bean or something. But no, I was dropping the F-bomb in Italian. It happens because you don't know what you're saying. You don't, that's why I don't speak in tongues, because I won't know what I'm saying. When you don't even realize what you're saying, and then somebody, brings it out. But a lot of people, they say, he probably never, well, I think he had to have realized what that meant, crikey or whatever. But I looked it up in the dictionary before they, got around to changing it. And it's short for Christ Almighty. That's just, so. Yeah. Oh my goodness, but that's not what it means. Yeah, it's not what it means. Well, usually when you say something surprising, you're cursing because you got surprised. Right. True. Yep. Well, there's some sayings or some phrases in here that have been modified. One is you spread dung on your face. You all could probably figure out what that means, So I mean, when Paul says, God shall smite thee, thou whited wall, I mean, the modern phrase, I mean, considering what the whited wall was. Anyway, he said, revilest thou God's high priest? I mean, what he was saying was reviling. Okay, we'll move on. We'll try not to jump into those areas there. Proverbs 13:3. Big mouth, shut your big mouth. Yeah. Loose lips, think ships. Yep. If I say, not my brother's keeper. Yep. Cain and Abel. Where do you think I'd find he's the devil in disguise? I'm sorry? Okay. 2 Corinthians 11, yep. It's a good one. Let me go to this second sheet here. I don't have a lot of time left. I want to do with it. Here it is. The sweat of his brow. Garden. Kiss of death in the garden. Here's one. This is eat your words in Jeremiah 15:16. How about above and beyond the call of duty? Anybody know what passage? I've got two of them actually, but I found one better than the one that they gave. Luke 17:10. So likewise, ye, when you shall have done all those things which are commanded you, say, we are unprofitable servants. We have done that which was our duty to do. So you go above and beyond the call of duty. The calm before the storm, like today. The calm before the storm. Think of a passage. Now, I probably wouldn't have got this one, so if you don't get it. Okay, that'll work too. That'll work. Can you think of another one? In fact, that one works better than this one. When he'd opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about the space of half an hour. Calm before the storm. So, let's see. Cast the first stone. The woman taken in adultery. And people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Let's see. How about feet of clay? Yep, Daniel 2. Here's mud in your eye. When Jesus made the mud and applied it to the guy's eye, that's in John 9:6. What's that? Yeah. You're spit in your eye? Yeah. I'm washing my hands of the whole matter. Pilate, Matthew 27:24. Knock on wood. Huh? Behold, I stand at the door and knock. The last straw, we've already covered that one, Exodus 5. Let's see. Y'all know this. When the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Job 121. Give and take, Job 121. Hosea 2:3 is naked as the day you were born. It actually says it, practically lays it right out. Let's see. Now there's one here. Who's ever heard of the saying, a bucket of bean soup? Has anybody ever heard that expression? A bucket of bean soup. That's in Ezekiel 4:9. That's where they're throwing all the things in the pot. A bucket of bean soup. Here's one. Now, I thought, come on. This one ain't real. Looked it up. Sure enough, man. It's a saying. We didn't say it around my house. Play a harp before a cow. Play a harp before a cow. Now, once you realize what he's talking about there, then it kind of dawns on you like, whoa. It's kind of like casting your pearls before swine. You play a harp. Who played a harp before a cow? Who is dancing and playing a harp? David with the cows carrying the ark. And Uzzah touches the ark, gets killed. Now think about it, and I never tied in. What is the image of a cherubim? It's a calf. So he's playing that harp before. In other words, God said, I don't want that ark carried that way. I want that ark carried by the Levites. That's how you carry that ark. The Levites carry that ark. So they put it on a wagon with two cows that could be represented as the two golden calves, and David's playing before it, and it's like casting your pearls before swine. I mean, it was out of type, out of picture, whatever you want to say. It was just, the optics were horrible. And you wouldn't realize that till you just kind of start tying it. Oh, yeah. So play a harp before a cow. I've never heard anybody ever say that, but it is real. You can look it up. Shaken to pieces. In fact, look at this. Turn to Job 16:12. We're going to have to quit here in a little bit. A couple more minutes. And I found 3 or 4 in one verse. Now you start looking for them when you're reading your Bible. Oh, look what I found. 16:12. I was at ease, but he hath broken me asunder. He hath also taken me by my neck and shaken me to pieces and set me up for his mark. All right? So the one we've got there is he's shaking me to pieces. He shook me to pieces or something like that. He broke me. He broke me. He hath broken me asunder. He grabbed me by the throat, or also taken me by my neck. Yeah, scruff of the neck. He made me his mark. He made me his mark. I'm sorry? Marked man. Y'all start to get it. All right. I think that might have been, like I said, there's I'll pass these out and you'll have another 100 to look at. But that's some of the exciting ones. Stubborn as a mule. I think that had to do with Balaam. Stuck in a rut. Acts 27, I think it talked about the boat. Stuck in a rut. It was between they ran it into that inlet. Sturdy as an oak, Amos 2:9. Oh, here's one. And I'm like, the sun will shine into our yard too. Matthew 5:45. This is that you may be the children of your Father which is in heaven, for he maketh the sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. And the saying is, the sun will shine into our yard too. Yeah. Okay. Broken to shivers, Revelation 2:27. Broken to shivers. All right, anybody else got one? Let me pass these out. Now, the last page is not as, I got enough for everybody, is not as full, but I think total there are 420.